bill introduced into the Texas legislature just 2 days ago would allow cops to take your money on the spot. What are the implications of that? The bill was introduced by Representative Alan Fletcher. He's a former cop. He's the vice chair of the Homeland Security Committee, and he's on the Transportation Committee. This bill would require cops to inform defendants of the possibility of making an immediate payment of the fine and related court costs by use of a credit or debit card. And the cop would be the one accepting payment. Now, of course, the argument for this is that it would expedite collection. It would make everything just run so much more smoothly and securely for the police. But is it something that would increase your security? The police officer, as Adon points out, is going to have all of your personal information, now your credit card information as well. Do we have to worry about a cop committing fraud or identity theft? But by pulling you over and taking your money right there on the spot, it might help people to understand what this is really about. It's not about safety, it's about highway robbery. Literally. About 150 years ago, before we had cars and speeding tickets, Lysander Spooner asked the rhetorical question, what's the difference between government and a highway robber? Well, he pointed out the highway robber doesn't pretend he has any rightful claim to your money or that he intends to use it for your own benefit. And having taken your money, he says, he leaves you as you would like for him to do. But unlike the government, the highway robber doesn't keep protecting you by commanding that you bow down and serve him, by requiring you to do this and forbidding you to do that. Of course, this is all about the vanishing due process, vanishing trial by jurors. And of course, the idea and the understanding of jury nullification has long since left us. But this is heading in another direction as well. This is moving towards the computer-driven, government-controlled, driverless cars. Of course, an essential part of computer-driven cars is going to be vehicle-to-vehicle communication. If you don't think the government will be listening and working with insurance companies to make driving prohibitively expensive, you're not paying attention. They won't need cops for that either. These speeding tickets could be issued automatically. That's how they're going to force you out of controlling your car. That's how they're going to control every single aspect of your movement. But let's look at the effect on the due process and what's happened just this last election in North Carolina. North Carolina was the last holdout on requiring jury trials for felonies. It was in the Constitution, but that was just overturned in this last election. North Carolina became the 50th state. That's right, every one of the states allows a felony defendant to waive a jury trial. So what's wrong with being able to waive a jury trial if you really want to? Well, we know how this works in practice. Trials by jury have essentially disappeared from this country for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's the plea bargaining aspect, where they pressure the defendant with a lot of trumped-up charges to plead to one of those charges so they can get that without a trial. The other part of the problem is that since jurors see themselves now as a rubber stamp of the court, you don't have juries really acting independently, and they certainly don't understand the concept of jury nullification. That is, they're not there just to judge the facts of the case, they're there to judge how the law is being applied. I would suggest that if you really want to stand up for individual freedom, instead of wasting your time in elections, demand a jury trial for a minor traffic offense. If you lose, you'll have to pay the fine that you would have paid anyway. You're not going to go to jail for decades like you would in a more serious crime. But it gives you a chance to look the jurors in the eye, explain to them what the circumstances are, and tell them that they can cut their chains, the tyranny that is exercised over them, if just one of them will cut your chains. For InfoWars Nightly News, I'm David Knight.